Hello, dear viewers, and a warm welcome to you. Today on TV30, we have with us two very informed and seasoned officers from the Police Marine Unit to discuss everything Police Marine Unit related. I am Claudia Monlouis. Gentlemen, welcome to our studios.
Thank you, Ms. Monlouis.
Can you kindly introduce yourself?
I am Mario Chicot, Sergeant of Police, attached to the Police Marine Unit.
Good morning to you, Ms. Monlouis. My name is Denlee Anthony, Corporal of Police, attached to the Police Marine Unit, past 15 years.
Usually, the work of the Police Marine Unit happens on the sea, which means it's not as visible as the other aspects of policing that we encounter in the community. And so, can you give us an insight as to what your roles and responsibilities are at the Police Marine Unit, and as a key department within the Royal St. Lucia Police Force, would this entity be complete without that component of service to the public?
Thank you, Ms. Monlouis. The Police Marine Unit has a wide range of responsibilities. Usually persons, when they hear Police Marine Unit, they always think of drug interdiction, but our responsibilities go far wider than that. We also do search and rescue, where we work very closely with regional agencies. We also do fisheries interdictions, where we work very closely with our fisheries department. We also work hand in hand with our customs and excise department as well.
You clearly have many stakeholders, I must say. And in order to become a police an officer in that unit, what sort of training would you need to undergo?
Okay, well, first, to become a Marine police officer, you have to undergo basic police training. And that training is held by the RSLPF at the police training school. But when you graduate and you're sent to the Police Marine Unit, then you get some extra training, because the responsibilities that are entrusted to us require expertise, and that expertise has to be built over time. So when you come into the Police Marine Unit, you are sent to get training both regionally, internationally, and some, of course, training is held locally.
Mm-hmm. Okay, both of you have 15 years experience under your belt in this unit. How has the organization evolved? How has the demands on the organization evolved?
Well, the Police Marine Unit, when I first joined it, was very, 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 very interesting. I know when I came in, we had large vessels, and the work on those vessels were a bit challenging. But now we have evolved, and we now have some young, fresh minds in the department. All of those senior guys who I would have met there, most of them would have been gone now. So now the mantle is passed on to people like myself and Sergeant Chicot to take the unit forward. We have now gone back to the US training. As everyone knows, we lost that for a little while. So now we have US training available to us. We also have training in the regional, in the RSS, that is available to us now. So now you find that we have now become more viable in terms of being able to perform our duties out there, because we are now getting more training, and so now we can do things perhaps better than we could have done a few years ago.
Okay, wonderful to know that the U.S. training is back on stream, because this was definitely a key component in ensuring that the unit remains as efficient as possible as the demands of the community increase, which brings us to the point where we want to focus, Sergeant Chicot, on your core duties, and that would entail search and rescue responses. I know there are incidents of lost fishers, you have in the mix drownings, etc. it can be, of course, and regular sea patrols. So it can be a very busy time for the unit.
Overdue vessels is an issue that we deal with on a regular basis. And those vessels would be vessels that do not return to port at the time that they would be expected to return to port. Mm-hmm. During those overdue vessels, most times these individuals call loved ones or other fishermen on port and ask them to come assist. They leave, they go to assist, and unfortunately they're not able to find them in time. When all efforts are failed, then they call the police marine unit. At that time has elapsed, it's dark, it's now dark, and then it creates a challenge for us now to leave and operate at night. So we want to always encourage fishermen, encourage persons going out at sea. Whenever you have an issue, your engine has broken down, you need assistance, the first person to call should be the police marine unit. If you don't remember our office number, we always encourage persons to call the emergency line, and they will be directed to us. On the topic of, you mentioned drownings, mm-hmm. We, unfortunately, these are part of our duties. We sometimes get calls, persons who would have ventured out at sea, swimmers who would have not surfaced. That then activates a search and recovery, search and rescue team. We have in-house maritime divers. So we have persons who are highly trained in dive, underwater navigation, and search and rescue and search and recovery under the sea. So these persons would come in and they would carry out dives to search, to hopefully find that person who would have drowned, unfortunately.
Okay, I would like to get an idea of some of the conditions out there on the seas that would cause persons to find themselves in distress, and what are the safety measures that you keep emphasizing to the communities, to the fishers. I know there are communities such as ancillary, canneries, and others where the economic sustenance of these areas and are mainly marine-related activities.
Okay, so in anything that we do, we know that safety is important, and generally, if the fishermen do not practice the safety which is required, that could lead to distress and other situations out at sea. And so you have conditions. The sea is very challenging sometimes when we are in particular times of year. Like for example, between December and January, we have stronger winds. And so that poses a great challenge to a lot of fishermen. And if you don't have the right equipment, which includes compass and GPS and radios in particular to communicate, then when you find yourself in a situation where your engine stops, it becomes difficult for you to communicate, or it becomes difficult for you to even tell somebody where exactly you are if you do not have the right equipment. And so during our patrols, we emphasize to fishermen, we always check for safety equipment, where we tell them that it is very, very important to have your safety equipment because it could save you. And safety equipment includes life jackets, the radios, the GPS, enough drinking water, enough food to last you for at least 7 days per member. And one of the things that we stress on, which is very important and which is something that we find that is very, very difficult, is fishermen go out to sea and nobody really knows where exactly they're going to. So we always try to educate the fishermen to always inform a loved one where is it that you are going to fish and what time you expect to get back. Okay, so that makes it easier for us. And Sergeant Chicot would have mentioned earlier that they would sometimes call loved ones, but the loved ones, they are not really equipped to deal with a search. Because when searching for someone on the sea, there are a number of factors that you have to consider. But yes, there's something that we call set and drift. Set being the distance in which the current is going, and the drift is the speed. Now, if you do not take those things into consideration, someone might tell you that they are at point A, and by the time you get to point A, they would have drifted away from that point. So all of these small little details are very important. And so we always like to teach and educate. We have our own boat masters program where we invite fishermen and those involved in the industry to come and get the right training so that it becomes easier for everybody.
Okay. So, gentlemen, walk us through the process, because I know sometimes you say that you get a call of distress, but you're starting with a blank slate because the person in distress never indicated where they were. So starting with this blank slate, could you walk us through the process of your response then?
Okay. Our response to a call of distress goes something like this. A fisherman or boat owner would be out at sea and they would encounter some form of distress, be it engine failure, fire on board, taking in water. Irrespective of the distress, a call should be made to the police marine unit. If the police marine unit cannot be, if the number is not remembered, we always encourage fishermen to call the emergency line. That call will be directed to us. There are a few pieces of information that we'll collect. We would collect size of the vessel, last known location. If they have GPS location, we would collect those information. And we, depending on the location, we would either deploy an asset, one of the assets, to go out to conduct a search. We would also communicate to MRCC, which works out of Martinique, to coordinate the search and rescue efforts. MRCC, we have two MRCC agencies. We have one in Martinique, which covers from St. Vincent, from mid-channel, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, all the way up to St. Kitts. And we also have an MRCC coordination center out of Trinidad and Tobago. That coordination center works from St. Vincent, St. Lucia down south to Trinidad. So these, depending on where that vessel is located, those centers would be engaged and they would basically coordinate the search and rescue. Search and rescue can look like our vessel leaving, conducting that search and rescue. Also, the Maritime Center may use aerial assets to fly and search for those vessels. The center also puts out pan messages. Those are messages that are broadcasted over the radio.
Okay, just hold that thought. We're going to take in a very important message. Stay with us, viewers.
Suicidal thoughts, like other mental health challenges, can affect anyone. It can be you, your colleague, family member, or neighbor. Everyone has a role to play in preventing suicide. Know the warning signs. If you or someone you know is in crisis or emotional distress, call the suicide hotline at 203. Remember, help is available. This is a message from the Employee Assistance Program, Department of the Public Service. Contact us at 468-2269 or 468-2260.
Welcome back. And we were talking about the steps involved in responding to a search and rescue incident.
Yes. So I would have left off at the MRCC putting out pan messages. So those are messages put out on the VHF, the radios that maritime persons use, basically asking boaters or mariners to look out for a specific vessel. That call goes to all persons on the frequency on channel 16. That involves catamarans, that involves oil tankers, that involves cruise ships, which basically gives the coordination center more eyes and a wider range to improve the likelihood of actually finding those persons who are in distress.
And of course, I wonder, Corporal Anthony, how far afield can we go out of our waters? And I know we have this relationship where we collaborate with the other countries. Do we have the authority to join them and work alongside them, looking for our nationals, or do we have to hold back and allow them to be at the forefront of such operations?
Right. So what generally happens is we have what we call our territorial waters, which is up to 12 nautical miles from our baseline. And up to 24 miles from the baseline is what we call the contiguous zone. And then up to 200 nautical miles is what we call our economic exclusive zone. That's where we have authority up to. Now, in the event that a vessel is missing from St. Lucia, finds itself in the territorial waters of another country, then the other country now becomes responsible for searching for that vessel because of the partnership and the arrangement and the agreement that we have. Remember, because I and Chicot would have said of the MRCC coordinating the entire event. So MRCC is the one coordinating. So if MRCC asks you to deploy an asset, and you have that asset available to deploy to whatever distance in your waters, then you have to, because of the agreement that is set. So if St. Lucia is asked to search for a foreign vessel in its waters up to 200 nautical miles, if we have the asset that's capable of doing so, we will do so. Okay, so it's because there's an agreement and an arrangement, so there's no restriction or limitation as to who does what and who does what. It's the MRCC coordinating, and that's what it's about.
Okay, so with this level of cooperation, what has the success rate been like, generally speaking?
Well, it has been it's a very successful cooperation because the MRCC would have the aerial assets, which are very, very, very helpful. They fly, and most times than not, we always find what we're looking for. And if we do not find what we're looking for, then MRCC will coordinate and liaise with another agency. It could either be Trinidad or the Dutch Antilles, and that search is a continuous search. And I just want our viewers to, because there's a general notion that whenever there's a distress, that the Marine unit does absolutely nothing. We don't just sit by idly when persons are out there missing. And sometimes persons may believe that if we have not deployed an asset that we're doing nothing. But we don't always need to deploy an asset to be doing what we're supposed to be doing. Like I said, there is the other agencies. It means that somebody else is searching. It means that that vessel may very well be out of our jurisdiction, out of our waters, or out of our reach. And so some other agency, some other country is assisting in that regard.
Okay.
And Ms. Montlouis, I just want to add to what Corporal Anthony has said. When we look at success rates of search and rescue, two things usually accompany them: calling for assistance early and having safety equipment. And I know the Ministry of Fisheries has done quite a bit to ensure that our fishermen have safety equipment. They are provided training, they are provided state-of-the-art equipment. And we ask and we encourage our fishermen to use the equipment given to them and do what they're supposed to do to improve our chances of finding them safely.
Okay, let's now look at the area of drug interdictions. I know most people associate the Marine unit with this, although this is of course not, your only duty.
Yes. Well, we are the only, I won't say we are the only, but we are the main law enforcement department that basically patrols our waters. Like we've heard many times, St. Lucia has porous borders, but the Police Marine Unit has a very well-oiled machine when it comes to drug interdictions. We work alongside other agencies. We are intel-driven. We have the assets and we have the manpower, and we try our best to reduce the importation and smuggling of narcotics and also of firearms on our end.
Okay, so we know that, of course, the police marine unit has recently received some jet skis from the Minister of National Security, the Honorable Prime Minister, Philippe J. Pierre. Looking at your assets now, how has this boosted your operations, and are you at a place where you can effectively serve the community? I know recently we had, of course, the carnival celebrations, and regular patrols were done as well as grand patrols.
Yes, the jet skis, they have a very good addition to our department. We have used them in the jazz festival up at the Rodney Bay. We recently used them in the carnival right there. They provide us with something that the vessel could not. They are more mobile. You could fit them in tight spaces. They could move around better, and so you don't always need an entire vessel to provide a presence. So the jet skis now have their role. That's what they do now for us. So it's very, very helpful. As a matter of fact, persons look forward to seeing the jet skis whenever whenever we have those events. And so the jet skis, I believe, well, I want to thank the Prime Minister for thinking in that light and thinking that we needed the jet skis, because we really did.
And as part of your training, were there persons who were already equipped with the skill sets to handle those jet skis?
Right, so now we have jet skis, so that's an additional part of the training that's now available to us.
Okay, gentlemen, let us now concentrate on your collaboration with other agencies. I know there is, of course, the Atlantic hurricane season, and we as a country, we have to prepare for it. There is also a humanitarian aspect to the work that the police marine unit does. So can you elaborate on that?
We're currently in the hurricane season, and the police marine unit plays a very important role in humanitarian assistance. When, as you would appreciate, sometimes our road infrastructure is not the most stable. So let's say during a natural disaster, we have a cutoff from Soufrière to Castries where the road is impassable. The police marine unit comes in very handy at those times. So we can use our assets to bring relief supplies basically down to the affected communities. And it's not only within St. Lucia. Over the past couple of years, we would have worked very closely with other OECS countries, other agencies, when disasters would have affected our sister islands like in Dominica. We had quite a bit of deployments to Dominica, bringing relief supplies and also transporting persons back to St. Lucia. When we had the volcanic eruption in St. Vincent, the police marine plays a very important role, clocking enough of 10 patrols or 10 deployments to that affected island, bringing both supplies and equipment. So it's the functions of the unit, or the police marine unit, there are many, and we're always fortunate that we have the personnel and the assets to basically to respond to any issue or any request from us, made to us. Sorry.
Okay, I know it's a special week for the department. Tila Day, and by expansion, there's a program of activities that you're observing. Before we touch on that, and before we wind up, because the clock has been ticking very rapidly on us, can you speak to any memorable operations that the department was involved with, and you registered some successes there?
Memorable.
If we have to speak of memorable stuff, it will be a lot. But I know our department, we have in the recent past, We have been cracking down on a lot of illegal conch, the importation of illegal conch from St. Vincent. That is illegal, and we have been working closely with fisheries to ensure that we try to limit that or stop it altogether. I know we have had a lot of search and rescue operations, successful ones, and it's always a nice feeling when we get a report of someone missing and you will go out there and find them. So that's all I will say for now. I know you've said we will meet mention of time, so we will not waste any time speaking of too many.
Let's reflect on the Tiller Day week of activities, and of course this is a very special observance for the Police Marine Unit.
Tiller Day is a calendar item that we hold very closely to our heart. Tiller Day for us symbolizes the handing over of control of the Police Marine Unit from British Command to local command, and it's celebrated every last Friday in July. Tiller Week started off for us with a morale day where members of the unit went on around the island. Started off at the GG's residence, Governor General's residence. We had a visit that location, and also around the island. We also had a church service which took place the following day at the Canaries Catholic Church. There we partnered with the MAC Police, where we had distribution of some hampers. That went very well. We also had a friendly football match against ancillary veteran football team, and we were successful. We won that match. And we still have some activities we want to have during this week before the end of Tiller Week, Tiller Day. And Tiller Week will be ended with the grand celebration, which will take place this coming Thursday, where we're going to be inviting persons who have left the unit to come in to celebrate with us, and also the general public. We also held a open day at the Constitution Park in Castries, which was very well attended. We had persons from summer camps coming in, and we also had persons from the general public coming in to ask questions, who were very curious as to what we do. So that was a good thing for us.
At this point, I would like to thank the Police Marine Unit for your service, and I definitely believe that you should be back with us sometime soon to discuss more, because there were a lot of talking points that we would have liked to elaborate on for the benefit of our viewers that time did not permit us to do. But on behalf of the National Television Network, I would like to once again thank you, Corporal Denlee Anthony and Sergeant Mario Chicot, for being here and sharing such valuable insights with us. Dear viewers, we have come to the end of this discussion. I am Claudia Monlui. See you again next time.